Welcome back to Dark Corner Studios. My name is Aiden Wolf, and today we're featuring a battle, I guess if you could call it that, between the RE320 and the SM7B. Now, this one kind of came as a bit of a surprise to me, but when I did my testing of the new Shure mic, the MV7, a lot of people were like, oh my god, the RE320 sounds amazing. And I was a bit taken back because I love this microphone, and I've been recommending it for years. But then I realized I hadn't really featured it in some time on this channel, so without further ado, let me reintroduce you to the ElectroVoice RE320.
This is Aiden Wolf.
Now, before I start, I should clear up a couple things. First, I'm not going to be doing a blind taste test between these two microphones because, well, frankly, you really shouldn't be tasting mics. Oh, especially this one. Good God. Ugh. But also, these are two very different microphones. Like, completely different. With that said, though, they are also two amazing microphones that will serve you very, very well. This one is related to a legend. And to be honest, it fills the shoes quite well. And this one, well, it's downright a legend in its own right. There is no denying that. But for the sake of this video, perhaps we'll look at the benefits of both of these microphones and what separates them in quality, their usefulness, and of course, not to mention price. And you can judge them as you see fit and decide which one of these will be a better fit for you. Now, of course, I will always say this, before you buy, always attempt to try them on your own voice first. Your mileage may vary from mine. Now, both of these have the mantle of being broadcast microphones, but the SM7B does have the added crown of being multi-purpose, and quite successfully so. But before you count out the usefulness of the RE320, it also has a secondary feature, although I don't think I've ever seen anyone utilize it. Now, if you look closely at the base of the microphone, you'll see it has a switchable EQ on it. You'll see a flat response as well as a mids drop. This is because it can also be used as a kick drum mic. Now, some people have come out to say that they like the sound of the mic with the mids stomped down, but honestly, of course, I'm going to prefer the flat response. But I'll give you a taste of the mic with that enabled in a little bit. Now, the specs of these two microphones I'll put up on the screen both here and here. And as you can see, not really much is separating them, with the exception of the frequency response. But in reality, it should all come down to sound and what you like about them on your own voice. There is one important stat, though, and that is noise level. We're going to take a look at that right now. Now, I should point out that the RE320 is at about 3 o'clock on my gain dial, and the SM7B is at about 4 o'clock on the gain dial. Now, for Plosives Control, both handle it well, and I would have to say that the SM7B does get the slight edge, as the capsule is a little bit further away, and you can see I kind of lined them up with that in mind. But here you go. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Off-axis rejection is going to be a bit tough for the RE320. Not that it's bad, but the SM7B is so good that it even tries to reject sound coming in from the front. If you own one, you know what I mean. This is the SM7B. This is the SM7B at 90 degrees. And this is the SM7B from behind. This is the RE320 from in front. This is the RE320 from the side. And this is the RE320 from behind. Now to go over the switches on each microphone and what they do to the sound. This is the SM7B with all the switches set to standard, I guess, or flat. This is the SM7B with the bass roll-off. And this is the SM7B with the presence boost. This is the RE320 with the flat response. And this is the RE320 with the kind of dip in the presence around the mids. What do you think? Much prefer it when it's flat. So with that all out of the way, the question is, who's buying these microphones? Well, they're both kind of aimed at similar markets, but almost incidentally. Now, the SM7B was initially introduced as a replacement for the SM5, mostly used in broadcast situations, and it was quickly adopted as a mic for singers after Michael Jackson used it for his album Thriller. In fact, both Michael Jackson and Vincent Price used this mic to record the album, and after that, a lot of people started to consider this mic a jack of all trades. To a degree, it became a bit of a cult classic, but at its core, it's just a broadcast microphone. Or at least a broadcast microphone with a Swiss Army knife in its back pocket, which does help its premium price as well. On the other side of things, you have the RE320, a mic born out of a couple broadcast legends itself. The ElectroVoice RE20 and the RE27ND have been staples of broadcast since 1969, but it didn't actually start out that way. In fact, the RE20 was introduced as a condenser killer, meant for film, sound, and recording applications. But due to its variable D, which was meant to completely conquer the proximity effect, it became a big favorite for broadcast announcers. Also helping that was the internal pop filter and the lack of variation in color when this mic was at 180 degrees. Now, all that said, the RE20 was still used in music recordings. In fact, it was famously depicted in the Queen biopic Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, I should mention that they did make a bit of a small goof with it as they positioned it wrong for recording, as it's not a side address but a front address mic. Also, 4 people singing into an RE20 is a bit silly, but hey, that's entertainment, right? But then how did the RE320 become a kick drum mic as well? That's kind of weird, no? Well, not really. In fact, the RE20 was used as a kick drum mic because of one important stat: the high SPL allowances, or the sound pressure level. It could handle the loud booms without any distortion of the sound, and that thanks to the variable D technology, which was very handy at the time. So the roll-off switch on it is less of a gimmick and more of a nod to the history of the RE20, which is kind of cool. So to settle the question of who is buying these mics, well, there's a wide variety of people who want an SM7B, whether it's for a podcaster, YouTuber, musician, studio. It just fits all those spaces. But the RE320 has found a bit more niche usage. So that includes podcasters, YouTubers, and broadcasters. So then, which one should you buy? Well, if it is between these two microphones, you're already spending a decent chunk of change, so the price difference isn't really all that insurmountable. Now, we can consider both of these fair game then. The gain issue will impact you though. The SM7B does require at least 60 dB of gain, and not a lot of interfaces actually provide that, while the RE320 can get by with a mere 50 dB. So if you're okay with spending money on a better interface or perhaps inline preamps like the Cloudlifter or Fethead, just go with the SM7B already. Just watch that pricing climb though. Now, if it all sounds like a gigantic pain in the arse, the RE320 is always a fantastic microphone, and it's hardly second place. But, and once again, that is a massive but, you really do need to try these microphones out on your own voice. I cannot stress that enough. Well, with that said then, what is the purpose of this video? Well, I think it needs to be pointed out that there are a bunch of great mics, just like the RE320, that you can buy without shelling out as much for the SM7B. Don't allow the crowd mentality impact your purchasing decision. Between $200 and $500, there are countless amazing microphones that you can try out and probably find an amazing fit. That said, if you were waiting for this video to prove once and for all that the SM7B isn't worth the price, well, it's probably not going to do that. This thing is amazing, and it's so worth the price. Let me know down in the comments, which one are you going to get? Or maybe you're still a bit confused. If that's the case, in your fog of uncertainty and confusion, give that like button a two-handed chop to the chest and body slam it for good measure. If you really like the video though, try that big red button. I hear it can manifest cookies. Maybe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. This thing is really dirty. Ugh. What the hell is he been doing with it? I think mostly cat hair. I don't want to know.